We have details from the very first meeting of the Wastewater Resources Advisory Committee on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Thursday, January 14th, 2016. I'm Sarah Mantle. The newly created Wastewater Resources Advisory Committee meets for its first meeting. During the meeting, DPW Director Dan Santos addressed the group. Santos described the committee's mission and talked about the work to come.
The purpose of the committee is to advise the town of Barnstable on the completion and implementation of its comprehensive water resource management planning project with the goal of protecting and restoring the town's fresh and saltwater bodies and its drinking water supplies in compliance with the Cape Cod Commission's Cape Cod Area Wide Water Quality Management Plan update of 2015, also known as the 208 Plan. If you get down to Section D, the authorities and responsibilities, where it says assist and advise the town, and specifically the Director of Public Works and his or her designee in identifying, prioritizing, and reporting to the town all town-wide and site-specific strategies which would bring the town of Barnstable into compliance with the 208 Plan and any other applicable regulations for water resources protection. And then an additional point I think is worthy of note. In Section E1, the last sentence, from time to time the Town Council may direct the committee to focus on specific areas of implementation or other related wastewater, groundwater, surface water, and drinking water matters. And I have no doubt that this committee will be involved in exactly those matters. It's been assigned to DPW, basically, that we're the accountable town entity to do the planning and work with this committee so that we do comply with all federal, state regulations, the comprehensive wastewater management planning requirements of the DEP, as well as the requirements of the 208 plan. And looking at our responsibility, I prepared a little for the town council several months ago, and I think it's a good way to kind of kick this off. And I'm just going to read it. It's a couple of brief paragraphs, but I think it encapsulates pretty basically what we're trying to do here and how we will move ahead on this project. So the Massachusetts towns are required by DEP to undertake wastewater planning efforts, which take the form of comprehensive wastewater management plans, or CWMPs, which have a 20-year planning horizon. The town of Barnstable has been actively involved in the current CWMP process since 2009. The process and required deliverables follow a very prescribed formula. During the past 20 years, these CWMP efforts have moved in the direction of nutrient management vis-a-vis the Massachusetts Estuary Program. In 2013, the DEP directed the Cape Cod Commission to update Clean Water Act Section 208 Water Quality Plan. This effort, recently completed, includes requirements for Cape Cod towns to submit watershed reports and watershed management plans to address the nutrient-related degradation of Cape Cod's waters. The challenge facing the town of Barnstable and this committee is to understand and successfully integrate the requirements of these two programs into a comprehensive plan that protects all the water resources of the town in a cost-effective manner. And the following, and you have it in front of you, basically the scope of that and roadmap of activities, at least for the foreseeable future. Not having met, you start a new committee, we've got to kind of have some kind of roadmap. So this is my thought on how we might do that. And having worked with my staff, and I wanted to, first of all, point out that a lot of the work that's required from the 208, from the work with the commission, in the early stages, and these are the watershed reports, can be done, and we're proposing to do it in-house. And between my experience and Rob Steen and Dr. Saad, we clearly have the ability in-house to do what's required in the first step, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But as part of this committee, I think the charge in complying with the 208 plan is also to understand what's been done prior to the 208 plan. And not spend a lot of time, but enough to bring the committee up to speed with what's been done. And there's been a lot done over the years on wastewater planning. And the beauty is that it's all translatable and transferable into what we have to do as part of the 208 requirements. And also as part of that is developing schedules and budgets, developing a public involvement plan, and then finally, or not finally in order, but finally to develop cost models and financing plan for whatever is proposed and planned as part of this program. So those are kind of the big pronged efforts that I see that we need to accomplish, both in the short and ultimately long term. The way we're proceeding now is basically the commission the Cape Cod Commission in their 208 plan submission, which was approved by Governor Baker in June of 2015, and then subsequently certified and approved by the EPA in September 2015. So they've directed how this needs to occur. And that is a 208 plan, which is predominantly addresses nutrient management and the nutrient issues that impact our primarily coastal water bodies. And it doesn't say a lot about the other parts of comprehensive wastewater management planning, which are septic systems, failed septic systems, impacts to freshwater ponds. There's many other issues that need to be addressed as part of wastewater management planning. Right. And that has to be incorporated into this and rolled into this at some point. But right now, my opinion is the best approach is to comply with the direction of the Commission and how they have set out to see this occur. And that basically is the form of by June 11th of 2016, just about 6 months, we're required to submit watershed plans, which they're calling the bookends, or the bookend plan. And what that means is they would like submitted for each of the watersheds that impact the town of Barnstable a plan which are bookends. One bookend being a plan that is a sewering plan, basically taking care of the town's needs with traditional sewering. And the other plan, and the other bookend, is if you were to accommodate the needs with innovative approaches or non-traditional approaches. So those are the bookends that they want to bracket the plans that will ultimately be submitted by the town to solve the problem. Now, there's no doubt that we're not going to do either one of those. That's not going to be the answer. But they want to bracket this, and this is how they've said they want this done. That's due in June. What I've also decided, at least for the technical part in our staff, is that we accomplish this working not only in-house with this committee and with our staff, but with the DEP, who we've reached out to and met with in the form of Brian Dudley, who's been very involved in these wastewater management planning and prior to that facilities planning for decades here on Cape Cod, and very knowledgeable. And also, since the Cape Cod Commission has really driven this and been obviously integrally involved in developing this whole plan, is we're going to involve them. And so what we've started to do, and we've already done this, and we're well on our way to completing the bookends part of this. And we can do that in-house. As I mentioned, we have the skills and time, and I feel like that's a very cost-effective way. We'll reserve the funds, and we do have some funding available.
Also during the meeting, the committee voted to elect Lindsay Council as chair and Mike Moynihan as vice chair. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 8 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we'll have our arts and culture segment. We'll also chat with Patty Machado. She's the Director of Leisure Services. She's going to tell us all about the upcoming Youth Summit. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable This Morning, I'm Sarah Mantle.